So, hello, welcome guys to a new episode of Art Side of Life, and I'm super happy to have Djamila here. Hi!
Hi. Thank you.
So, welcome back after, already more than a year, right?
Yeah,
So, it went by so fast.
I did. Yes, I checked like the time. I think it was July of 2017 when we last talked. So it's been a while. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. So I'm looking forward to hear more like what's new with you and how your artistic career progressed and where you are now. And so maybe just to refresh for people, like when we last time spoke, maybe if you can mention like what, if you remember, like what was your main thing? What were you doing? Because if I remember correctly, you were still doing a little bit of commissions, but you were mostly creating your own art for your shop, right? And then where did you go from there? How did you decide
Yeah.
what are the next steps?
Okay. If you say so, that was still the time when I did a few commissions. I honestly don't remember. I was thinking I was already doing my own thing, but
Yeah, most of the time I
uh
think that was your
yeah,
own artworks, that was your like main focus, but
hmm
maybe you were just like quitting the last
probably.
commissions,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you must be right. I just have a terrible memory with everything. But yeah, I was doing my own thing. I opened my store and everything, and that's still going well. I moved my store over from Store Envy to my own website, which has been a very nice change. So people, like more people are coming directly to my website, and it has just become a little destination to go there other than having everything spread out. And what else? I was doing that and Patreon, and
Hmm.
Patreon has been developing very well. I changed it after we talked to a system where I have only one tier, pay what you want, where everyone can just give me like $1 if they want or more. Um, and they get my layered Photoshop files of all my illustrations, like in a smaller format, but you can still see all the layers and go through,
Yeah.
and a store discount and some other stuff. And we do exclusive live streams for other artists and me every month. So that's in there too. So yeah, Patreon has become like a big thing for me every month, just in terms of income, which wasn't the case when we last talked. It was just still very small. But the change to that one tier thing has really worked for me. I understand that it doesn't work for everyone, but for me, it has been just the right thing. Um, that was the situation. And now I added some things. I started going to conventions and I am just starting to get back into teaching. I will be doing some workshops and like an online course and yeah,
Yeah,
all
so
sorts
many
of
things,
things.
right? So
Yeah.
when we like maybe start with what you said that the first change was to put the shop in your website, right? So
Yeah.
why did you decide to do that? Like to maybe to share with others like why that is better because it is better.
For me, I was using Store Envy, which has a lot of advantages. It was nice to begin with because it's free. You don't have to pay a fee just to put your stuff up there, which I think you do with Etsy. I think you have to pay for like every listing.
Yeah.
Um, and so I decided to go with that in the beginning. But after a while, it was bothering me that the prices were only set in dollars. And when you're living in Europe and you have euro, you know that €1 isn't $1. And I was always kind of miscalculating in my head. I was like, oh, I'm going to make this 25 dollars and that's going to be 25 euros. But no, that's not how it works. So I was looking for an option that had euro as my own currency. And yeah, I was weighing different options. I looked into Etsy as well, but in the end, I decided to go with Squarespace, which is my website host.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have a store option as well, and I figured, okay, I'm just gonna go with them. They're not perfect. The shipping system is kind of funky. You don't have the option to set different shipping rates for each product. You just can say, okay, all the international orders are like this, and all the national orders are like this price wise, but it's okay. They're all almost the same size for me. So on some shipments, I lose out on shipping, and on some, I'm charging maybe a little bit more than it actually costs, but I think it evens out and it's not too bad. Too bad. Yeah, but that was better on Store Envy. But overall, I think it's really nice. I like having just everything in one place that I can bring people to,
Yeah, and
and it's more
then
customizable.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the traffic you are bringing there is mostly from Instagram, and I guess you are using like Linktree, or you are using only just one link in the bio, or mostly through
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah, mostly through stories. I have my single link that I have on my Instagram is my store link that people can go there directly. And if I do something like in the stories, I put different links there to my Patreon as well. But for the website, I always just point people to my store. It's just if they want to see my portfolio, it's just one click away, which is fine.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, it's actually really nice. Like I have so many more followers on Instagram than on Twitter, but it's only twice as much traffic as I get from Twitter, where I have like, I don't know, 6 times or more, probably. I'm really bad at math. Uh, a lot more followers, but a lot more people click through from Twitter just because you can include links
Yes.
more
Yeah. Yeah.
easily. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's interesting.
And also, like, are you more active on Twitter than on Instagram, or like similar
Yeah,
amount?
similar. I
Yeah.
post almost the same stuff there. Like on Twitter, sometimes when I have a thought that I want to share, I just type that in. Whereas on Instagram, I'm more concerned with posting only my best work in the profile because, the algorithm and everything, you don't want to screw it up with mediocre content or whatever. It sounds so bad, but, that's my thinking behind it. I'm just going to post the very best stuff I have.
Yeah.
On Twitter, you can just be more spontaneous and be like, I just watched this movie. It was great. Hello. And that's that's what I'm doing in my stories on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know a lot of people love sharing a lot of stuff, like what they're doing in their free time and everything. They have so much fun when they're on vacation. They share their stories and everything. But I'm like, no, I'm on a vacation. I'm not gonna bother with social media right now. And that's just the way I am. Maybe I'm going to get better at that, but it's just, yeah, no, I wanna take a break sometimes.
Yeah, and everyone takes it differently, right? So you don't have
Yeah.
to do what everyone else is doing when you already, like created some strategy for yourself, because you have like some thought behind posting as well. Your artworks, you always post more posts, but in the process of one artwork, right? So you
Yeah,
don't just
yeah,
post like this is the final piece. So
yeah.
do you have always the similar process of posting like the sketch, then part of the artwork, then the in between and the final, or do you try to do it differently?
Yeah, no, pretty much. Yeah, I just post a sketch. My philosophy with posting is that I just post whatever I did that day or the last few days. I know other people schedule their stuff, and that's cool too, but I don't know. I'm like, I've drawn a sketch today. Here's the sketch. And the next day, I might have put down the base colors, and I'm like, here are the base colors, but with hopefully a little bit more interesting description. Um, and then I start rendering, and then I post little snippets like close-ups of the piece, and then I post the final. So yeah, that's pretty much always my process. But sometimes you have those images where they look really ugly in between, and
I
I'm
don't
like,
believe that.
yeah, there's an ugly stage to everything sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to share this. I have to wait until it's actually finished so that I can, post things that look nice. I don't want to share stuff just for the sake of sharing it. I want to be sure that I actually like it.
Yeah.
But what I do is I go back to my feed and I archive older posts that don't look as nice in the overall scheme of things. Like sometimes everything is colorful and seems to be harmonious, and then there's this white sketch in between. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna archive this. It's fine. People have seen it, and now it can go. Um, and I also post process GIFs of like just my process. Yeah, I take the sketch and then the base colors and then rendering, rendering, rendering. There's images that I share with my patrons as well that show the process in like 10 images or something. I put them together in an animated GIF and then I just share that as well. And that has been well received. So this is like some content to fill the gaps when I don't have something to share. I'm pretty much always working on an illustration these days, but sometimes I am in that ugly stage and I'm like, or it's the weekend and I'm not painting. So I'm like, I have this process gift that I can share.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely that's like a good thing that you can share more pieces of content. No, posts. Yeah,
Yeah.
for on Instagram or somewhere because then you can keep the engagement flowing. So that's very good that you don't have to wait like I don't know a week or how long to post only like the final sketch and
Yeah.
people can see more of your process. So that's very cool. And when you mentioned also Patreon, so how did you decide what to what to share on Patreon? Because then it was like you said one tier. So did
Mhm.
you ask people what they want to see, or how was your decision making process there?
Yeah. I don't think I did. I think in the very beginning, when I set it up, I asked people what they wanted, and I had those different tiers. I had one where I shared the PSD and everything, but that was $5, and I thought, maybe that's a little too much for people. So, what's like a good balance? Like, what do you get that's worth more than what you pay, or what is perceived more than what you pay? So people think like they're getting a really good deal, and then they can set the price themselves. So they feel cheated in a way. So I want to offer more than you would normally get for $1, because on other people's patrons you get just like access to the feed or something. And I wanted to give a little bit more, but I was like, I don't want to put too much effort into it because it was a lot of work for not that much return in the beginning. I didn't want to make videos because that's always a little bit more trouble, and
More time
I
consuming, yeah.
very much, yeah. So I thought, okay, what's something that I can give that is organic to my process, like something that I have anyway and that I wouldn't use, but that maybe I can share with people that they can use. So and that
Yeah.
was the layered PSD files, because I get so many questions about how do you do this with your layers, like, or what are your brushes? I share my brushes as well. And every time somebody asks me that now, I can just say, okay, you can go to my Patreon and for $1 you can just download it. It's not crazy. And the previous rewards that people have missed, I share those on Gumroad, also for $1 or €1, I think. And when you're signed up to my Patreon, you sometimes get like 3 illustrations in a month. But on Gumroad, those are separate, so each of those is like €1 as well. That was my boyfriend. He's playing games. Um,
So, and when you were thinking about the setting up Patreon, right? That so you already have your own shop, so that was kind of set for your income, kind of in the way, I guess. So we are like, okay, when you do Patreon, that you can start spreading the different income streams, right?
mhm.
And so as you said, like it was very time consuming at the beginning when you have like only few people signing up. And so how long did it take you to get, I don't know, like 100 patrons, or how was the process of, that people were signing up? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. Oh God, I remember that it really started picking up at the beginning of last year when I changed the system. I'm really not sure how many patrons I had, maybe 200 or something at that point. Maybe not even that. I don't know. I really don't know. I
And do
don't
you
want to lie.
remember how long did you have it for? Like, so.
Since 2016, I think October 2016, I set it up. And then, or maybe I had like just a little over 100 at the beginning of last year. I have it saved up somewhere. I would have to check it on my computer. But yeah, last year it just kept growing and growing. It was crazy. Like in a month, I got sometimes 100 new patrons.
Nice.
And now I have, I don't even know. Check. I'm terrible at this. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no
But
worries. I mean, like we cannot remember all the details all the time, basically, because of course you are creating all the value on Patreon for all the people. So it doesn't matter if it is like one person or 500 people, but it's always like kind of good to know for others if
yeah,
they want to start their own Patreon.
I
Like what they should count on. So when you start, like, oh, so you don't expect that in 1 week or 2 weeks it will be like, I don't know, 1,000 Patreons, because you
yeah,
still need to promote it and be patient, and yeah, so
right. It does take time. I'm at 686 now. And I think at the beginning of this year, I had maybe 400 or something. It's been going well. It's been growing constantly. But what happened last year is in summer, I think it was June or July, more people were dropping out and I didn't get as many new ones. And that kept happening until the end of the year. And then this year it started picking up again. I don't know if that's
do
a
you know
trend.
why? Or
I don't know. I know it happened to other people as well. I was just assuming that people didn't really care in summer. They just wanted to go on vacation and not look at their digital rewards or something.
to
Um,
learn or something. Yeah, to
yeah,
study.
that's what I was assuming. So I'm excited, or not excited, but I'm curious to see what happens this year if this keeps happening. Um, but if so, I'm not surprised. Like last year, I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" I'm freaking out. But this year, I'm kind of expecting it, so we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah, because maybe it's kind of the, yeah, as you said, holiday, back to school thing,
yeah.
then you come back in September. And so when you were asking people what they like the most, they appreciate the brushes you mentioned, that they can look into your Photoshop files, something else they are always excited about.
I include a folder of my references and inspiration images. That's what people mention that they like a lot because that's something that not a whole lot of people share, I think.
Yeah.
You get this impression that everyone just keeps creating stuff out of thin air, and it's just nice to see where your inspiration comes from, and I'm happy to share that as well. And I also have a store discount in there, 10% store
Nice.
discount. Yeah, I think that's it. And the live streams are nice too. Just this little exclusive club feeling.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you do it through Discord or some, what do you do?
No, we just
YouTube?
host it on YouTube, and we just don't list it, so only people can join who have the link to the video. So we just share the link beforehand, and then people can join.
Yeah. And how did you connect with people to do these exclusive videos? If you can share again, like if someone is like, okay, I want to do this too, but how do I find people to do it with?
Yeah, it was kind of an accident, a happy accident. I was just doing this by myself because I was like, okay, I want to do something for you. I want to connect with the people a little bit more. And video always makes that connection, I think. So I did that and I did some overpaints and answered questions and stuff. And I was like, after an hour, okay, this is weird. I'm just talking to myself. I'm not sure that's great. I'm not sure that's the best thing I can do. So maybe if there's someone in the chat who wants to join me next time, tell me and I'll be happy to have you on. And that's when Lorena said, okay, I'll join you. And then she did. And then there was Kim as well. I'm friends with all of them on Twitter, so you can check that out. I also posted about the live
If
stream.
can you mention their like Instagram handles or something so people
Yeah.
know who are you talking about, maybe?
Yeah, okay. So Lorena Lama, that's Amaretta underscore. That's her handle. And then there's Kim Mayet, I think is what her last name is pronounced. And her Instagram and Twitter handle is very hard. It's Isviri. I think it's YSVY.
We can put it also in the description under, so yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And then there's Chantal Horais,
And I
who
think
has the
she
same
has the
handle.
same, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, the
she
name,
does
yeah,
it
yeah.
right. That's
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
Yeah. So those three girls and I were always doing this. Yeah, we just came together as a little group and we've become friends. And we're actually going to do a stream right after this.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, at 8 today,
Yeah.
Berlin
Oh,
time.
super cool. Yeah, and then basically, did you thought about like you guys have all like I don't know, fantasy style feeling, or so were you thinking like, okay, we want to have similar audience, they appreciate that type of art, or was it more like the way you speak or approach the art, or
I think it was just that we all had Patreons and we all were getting along.
good,
No,
good.
it's just, yeah, we like similar stuff, I guess, but it would be, I mean, we are kind of different in our styles as well, so that's always interesting. Last time we did a collaboration, Chantal did the line work, and then I did the base colors. Oh no, Chantal did the sketch, Lorena did the line work, I did the base colors, and then Kim rendered it, and that was like a little mishmash of our styles, which was really cool to see. So yeah, I don't know, we just get along. It would be cool if we had more versatile styles, but we kind of have similarities and differences, which makes it interesting, I think.
Nice, nice. And when you were thinking about, we talked about the style a little bit. Did it change from last year more, or did you start to collect different type of references, or going one direction more, or what is your biggest
Um,
inspiration now? Is it still nature and yeah,
yeah, I think it
maybe
is.
maybe Ghibli
Yes.
movies style,
Yes,
or yeah,
yes, yes. Yes, all of that. I started painting more backgrounds. Last time we talked, I think I was still very much focused on characters. But now I actually might enjoy backgrounds a little bit more. It just takes a lot more time, but it's so nice. I don't know, I got into storytelling a lot more, and I think that's a lot easier if you have a location that you can work with. So I'm always like browsing images on Pinterest or something, and I'm like, ooh, I want to draw, I don't know, an abandoned building. And then I just do that. And then I put a character in there who does something. Yeah.
and you still work with Photoshop, right? That's your
Yeah.
main, yeah. Do you also work sometimes on a tablet with Procreate, or mostly Photoshop?
I just got an iPad 4 days ago.
Oh wow, okay.
My friend, she had it. It's an iPad Pro, like the larger version, and she wanted to get a smaller one for sketching. And she asked me if I wanted to buy it from her, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I bought it, and I've been getting into it. I'm still trying to figure out what brushes I can use in Procreate. I feel like the brushes I use in Photoshop because I'm very much set in my ways, like an old lady. I'm like, I want my brushes. And so yeah, I'm trying that out, but I think I'm getting closer. It feels very nice to draw on the screen directly, and the program is very intuitive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to use it when I'm in a tram or train, because it's
Yeah.
like, you listen to audiobook or a podcast and then you sketch or something like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So super
Perfect.
cool. Yeah.
That. Yeah, I want to do some plein air stuff maybe when the weather is nicer. And I'm excited about the video feature
Yeah.
because then there's time lapses and everything. That's nice.
Yeah, and now you can do also GIFs or GIFs, or how do you pronounce that? So
Yeah.
it can combine like the layers, automatically.
Woo, that's nice.
So that's
Yeah,
pretty
there's
cool.
like a lot of great stuff. That price, especially if you
Oh yeah,
compare it to
yeah, yeah.
their stuff.
Compared to
Yeah.
Photoshop, but I mean, you still need Photoshop because it's more complex stuff. I think some of the effects or whatever. I don't know how much of that you are using, but yeah, it's still like
Yeah.
cannot
I
finish
miss,
super complex artwork. I think with that. So
yeah. I miss my gradient maps and I miss a navigator window. That's my biggest thing right now in Procreate. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Some
We'll
adjusting
see.
to do. Yeah, yeah. But like you can use one program for something and the other program for the other stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's always the option. And so you were talking also about the teaching, and so how do you approach your classes, or what did you decide to share as your outlook on art, and what is
Yeah.
your specialty to teach?
Okay, as I said, I'm getting into or I got into storytelling a lot, and I am going to be teaching a class about storytelling in illustrations. So I've just been working on the outline today, and I want to put a big emphasis on things that other people don't talk about as much, I think, which is idea generation, how to start out developing an idea. For me, that always has to do with writing.
Yeah.
I know not everyone does that, but I like to just write down my idea and just
Yeah.
like keywords that come to mind because it's much quicker than sketching because you can get overwhelmed sometimes. Let's say you have an idea of, I don't know, I want to draw a magical forest with a tree house and there's a little elf sitting on a branch or something. And I'm like, I'm starting to sketch it and then I'm losing the idea suddenly because it's just too complex and too overwhelming. So I'd
Yeah.
like to just break it down into those little chunks, like start out with writing, coming up with your concept and solidifying it, and then also getting into reference, how I get inspired, and how to, just recognize what your taste is and develop and cultivate your interests in a way. I think that's pretty interesting too, and that plays a big role in who you are as an artist and what kind of stories you want to tell.
Yeah.
So definitely, it's kind of woo-woo philosophical a little bit maybe, but I like that part. I think a lot of people talk about, anatomy and color. All this stuff will play a role as well, but I want to get to the very beginning, to the core of how an idea develops and how it turns into a painting, all those steps that I take to make that happen.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited about that. Yeah.
Ah, super cool. Yeah, because then you can also like teach them in the real life. People can ask the questions as well, and so super cool. Yeah, because compared as you mentioned, like I don't do much of a writing when I'm
Hmm.
creating, so my approach is more as well like I would like to observe the colors and how the colors are actually influencing the story and the visual, like how you
Yeah.
are supposed to feel what the creator wants you to feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, so definitely that is the difference between the classes and stuff. So yeah, so far I have only one class as well. So I guess yes, it's somewhere you have to start, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but you're also starting with one for now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It'll
Super cool.
be probably 9 sessions or
Hmm.
lessons,
Hmm.
and yeah, I will break them down, and there will be stuff like composition as well and color. I will go into color theory as
Yes.
well, like the proper way, but then I also want to show like the bullshit way of how I do it in Photoshop, just like with a bunch of layer modes, because let's be honest, we know this kind of color theory stuff, but sometimes it's just so nice and easy to just slap an adjustment layer on everything and, change
And
the whole
try if it
picture.
works, and then if it
Yeah.
doesn't, then you can change it. Yeah.
Yes. So I want to cover all these things and how I sketch, how I do perspective. It's just, I know there's a lot of material about that out there, but I just want to throw my
Yeah, yeah,
experience in there. So I think
yeah.
that's what it's about. I don't want to be repeating what everybody else has said. I want to, tell it from my perspective, what I found out via trial and error, and I want to provide that or suggest it for people to use it. And if they think it's useful, they can use it. And if they don't, they can also go to their own
Yeah.
way again.
But I think it's always interesting to learn from different people because I also like to take different classes because everyone's approach is different. And
Yeah.
then maybe you take one thing from one person, another
Yeah.
thing from other, like, oh, I like how this person is approaching the, I don't know, coloring the line work.
Mhm.
And then maybe from you, like, oh, this is how you think about the words at the beginning. And then like, oh, this is how you approach the characters and all of that. Yeah, the image froze a bit. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Then I'm
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
I'm
Now
back.
we are like all good is still working. So yeah, and so yeah, you are totally right. And then so when people can see your class, like when it's going to be out, do you know? You haven't
Yeah.
recorded it yet, right? So you
Oh,
are in the process, like you said, you have the skeleton now, and now you
yeah.
will be in process of creating it.
Yeah. I want to have it finished by the end of July, and I don't know when it'll be online.
So in
It's
July. So and then you will promote it on your social media so can people can find it,
yes.
right? So
Yes.
yeah, yeah, cool, cool. So then I can update also the description of this video
Hmm.
when it's out. So that will be super nice. Yeah. Oh, cool, cool. So, so it will be something like the storytelling with the fantasy artworks or storytelling with, yeah, illustration or,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
something like that.
illustration. My first impulse was story-driven illustrations, but I'm I'm still thinking maybe narrative illustration or storytelling in illustration, something like that. I just want people to know that it's about story and about illustration.
Yeah, yeah. I think people love it, yeah, because your illustrations are so like full of life and then colorful, so super awesome. And then yeah, you people can yeah learn from you and then create like different stories, and then you can maybe when you do like assignments and these kind of things, people can compare how they approach the same topic you would
Yeah.
approach. It would be so exciting to see.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like one assignment where I give like a very broad topic and everyone does that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then just have them like do whatever they want because, it's very individual for each person what kind of stories they want to tell. But I'm definitely looking forward to the comparison thing, how
Yeah.
different people tackle the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or like when you give like say we do sometimes on workshops that you have like one location and you say like, oh, we have one evil character and one good character, and then it's so fun to see how everyone imagines these two characters differently and
Yeah.
approach like I don't know if you have a this desert or like jungle and everyone has a totally different
Yeah.
look into that. So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's always exciting.
That's the amazing thing. And sometimes I have conversations with people who are like, I don't know if my idea is good enough. I don't know. I don't want to draw this. It's been done before. And I'm like, yeah, but it hasn't been done by you. You're different. You want to show your own perspective. And that's what makes it interesting. So, yeah, I think every story is worth telling through your own perspective.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So there will be one big project coming up now, right? To
Yes.
create the whole thing, and so you still run the shop, right? And then the Patreon, but you don't do any client work now. So you are
Yeah.
like self-employed and all of this,
Yes.
like yeah, working with the community, right?
Right. Yeah, it's so nice. I have a lot of freedom, and I hired my boyfriend as my assistant this year, and he's been doing all my shipping for my store, which has been a huge relief for me, a huge help. It's just I've been spending so much time with it because I don't want to complain. I'm getting more orders, which is awesome, but it was also taking a lot more time, and I was debating whether the expense was worth it. But it totally was. Like I've been making more art, and in return, I've been getting more followers and more patrons and more sales, and just everything comes back and fuels things in a way that I couldn't have imagined. So I can definitely recommend this to everyone. If you have someone who you trust, who can, take a
Yeah.
few tasks for you, please go ahead and do that. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, because you can always think about, yeah, what can you delegate, right? It's like probably you cannot delegate your drawing, so okay,
Yeah.
so what can you do, right? So is it maybe editing videos? Is it the
Yeah.
packing orders, or what can it be? So yeah, definitely that helps
Yeah.
to scale and then to focus on an art and be more creative.
Yes, definitely. And taxes as well. I've been handing off my taxes to a professional this year, and it's been great as well. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. It was just getting more and more complicated. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm
When
glad
you
that's gone
have
now.
more resources or more income streams, then you have to figure that
Yeah.
out. Yeah, yeah.
And she called me like she was doing my first thing this year, and she was like, "That's a lot you have here." And I'm like, "Yep."
It's like
I'm
from here, from
sorry.
there, from there.
Yeah, and then what's this PayPal thing, and what does this do? And I'm like, "Oh, so sorry."
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. And PayPal takes so much fees. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So if people can pay with transfer, try to do that. Yeah, but people know PayPal, so it's like
Yeah.
source of like trust. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, yeah. And if you like think about yeah your work week, do you think take like I don't know at least Sunday off, or do you take the weekend? How do you plan your work-life balance now?
I've been getting pretty good at this. I'm very proud of myself. I take Saturdays and Sundays off, and throughout the week I work 5 to 7 hours per day. Um, like really focused work. I track my time with Toggle. I don't
Yeah,
know if I've talked about this last time. I don't know if I started then,
not
but
sure.
since I started, it has been great. It's just it changes things a lot for me because back then I had the feeling like, oh, I must have I must have been painting for 6 hours, and then I looked at actually the time, it was just 4. So it just feels a lot longer. And when I track it, I have my different projects set up. I have like one that's called admin where I do emails and I don't know, contracts or whatever. It's just organizational stuff that needs to get done. When I do that, I just hit like play or start, and then I just do that, and I don't get distracted as much because I know that the clock is running and I don't want to cheat it. So I just really work, and then when I hit pause, I take a break. So I know exactly when I'm working and when I'm having time off. So that's been great for me. And I can see that per day, my limit for doing illustration is 4 hours. That's when I get really exhausted and when my brain stops working properly. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to take a break and also need to rest my hand and everything. So 4 hours, it's been a great amount of time for me to just get some art done. And I try to do that every work day to paint for 4 hours and then do all the stuff that's necessary to do on the
Yeah.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely do that as well. I like the toggle thing
Oh,
to
that's good.
track. So
Yeah.
because I also do so many different things. So and then
Yeah.
you feel like, as you said, like, oh my gosh, I worked on this so long, and then you check the time. It's like, okay, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can also calculate how much you actually earn if if you have set price, right, for the project, and then
Uh,
how many hours you actually spend on it, or if you work with someone, client or whoever, you can estimate the
mhm.
time better. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
is usually it takes me this long.
Right. That's perfect. And you can also just check your week or month and
Yeah.
just split it and see what you make per hour because as a freelancer that can be very confusing. So you just kind of get an idea where your time goes or maybe where you can also improve things. Because when I was looking at that, I was like, okay, I'm spending so much time on packing orders. What can I do to relieve that a little bit? And so I did, and I'm always still looking for ways to improve this and to spend my time where it most matters because the core of everything that I'm doing is just painting. And if I don't have enough time to do that, that's going to break my business model, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then you also mentioned that you go for conventions, right? So
Yeah,
that's another thing. Did you do it also a lot last year, or this year will be like more?
more this year. Yeah, when I talk about it, it sounds like I've been doing this forever. I'm like, yeah, I have so much experience doing conventions, but no, I did 3.
So which one did you do this year, or also then you are
Uh,
going to?
I did 2 last year,
Mhm.
and 1 this year so far. I've just the first one I went to was very small. It was 1 hour away from my hometown here, and the table was 25 euros.
That's a good
And
price.
yes, right. So I just went and I was like, okay, I have nothing to lose except the price for staying there overnight and traveling there and the expenses for the table. Like I bought some stuff like a tablecloth and prints and all this kind of stuff. Um, but it turned out to be really good. I made all my money back and a lot more. I made over 1,000 euros at
Nice.
my first convention, which was very nice for me, I think, especially for the cheap entry fee.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, yeah, this is fun. I like talking to people a lot. I'm very sociable, I think. So it's been very nice. And then I did the second convention and I was invited there as a guest.
Nice.
So yeah, they just
So
flew.
did you do also like the talk there, or
I,
only the stand?
yeah, I did. I had a table and I did like a panel about how to make money doing your own thing,
Yeah.
which is kind of my thing that everybody wants me to talk about Patreon and everything, together with another artist, a German artist as well, Lauban is his
Hmm.
name,
Yeah, yeah.
and
We
yeah,
did
he
the
has a huge
interview with
YouTube
him
channel.
here as well. So yeah, yeah.
Ah, cool. Yeah, he's
So
he's
people can
big on
check it out as
YouTube.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so we did that and did the table thing for 3 days. And that was nice too. And I was like, okay, I like this. This is going well the 2 times I've been, so I'm just gonna be more daring and invest a little bit more for the next convention that I'm doing. And there's one in my hometown here in Leipzig, which is a book fair combined with like a manga comic convention. And it has a lot of visitors because of that, because just a ton of people go there. And they have an artist alley, and they give the tables via lottery.
Hmm.
So 400 people apply, and 130 get a table. And I'm just never lucky with that. I've applied like 3 times and I never got in. So I was like, okay. There are also big booths that you can buy for 1,200
Oh yeah, yeah,
euros.
that's too big. Then you have to be sure that you will sell a lot of
Yeah,
products, otherwise you are
yeah,
in minus or something. So yeah.
right. But I was like, okay, I've had those 2 conventions. They were much smaller and they were 2 or 3 days. This one is 4 days.
Hmm.
It's in my hometown. Everyone says it's a really good convention where you can sell more than at others. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I bought a booth and I went there, and oh God, my stomach was just terrible. I was so nervous. I woke up at 4 in the morning, the first day, and I just was so exhausted and terrified. But it all worked out after the first day.
Yay! So
I'm
cool.
yeah, I made like 1,000 euros or like 900 euros the first day, and then every day as
Then it's
well, like
just a
around a
plus, yeah.
thousand. Yeah, so I was like, okay, okay, that's going well. It's nice. I can relax. So now I already bought my booth for next year.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, because yeah, usually it just gets better, and then you know that
Yeah.
you will not be in minus, so you can invest in this, and then it's also convenient because you don't have to pay for accommodation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's just I was so mad that I never got in because it's here and they wouldn't let me in. But yeah, just now I'm just going to buy the thing if I'm not lucky. So
Yeah, yeah.
um let's see, what else do I have? There's Dokumi. It's a manga convention as well that's coming up, and then there's a Comic Con that's coming up in June. Um then there's a small one as well. Then there's a Vienna Comic Con in
Hmm.
November. Then I'm going to Lightbox Expo in September.
And that one is in LA, and then you have,
Yes.
yeah, and then you have these ones are in Europe, right?
Yeah.
So most of them are in Europe and one in
Yes.
LA.
The
Okay, yeah, yeah.
furthest one was in Vienna, like the Vienna Comic Con. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going so far. But then yesterday I heard that I'm going to Lightbox Expo, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that's
Very
happening
cool.
now.
Yeah, you will like enjoy the sunshine there as well, and yeah, I'm sure you will meet a lot of awesome other artists.
Yeah, we'll see. I just see myself in the hall like all the time behind my table. Like with the last one, I got 10 minutes of sunshine or so, just 4 days I was at my booth. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There are people that I've admired for so long, and I can't wait to just talk to them. And yeah, it's going to be cool. And I'll also be doing a talk and a
Mhm.
panel, I think. I don't know about what, but I will.
Yeah, probably something similar what you will work on as a workshop,
Yeah,
right? So that would
yeah.
make sense to connect those two.
Or more of the business side, maybe. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. I'm
Or maybe
excited.
you can do two, because
Yeah,
it's good promotion for your class afterwards, so people know what to expect from you if they take your online class as well. So I think that will be super cool combination. Yay! So yeah, a lot of exciting projects coming up.
yeah.
And if you think about then in I don't know 5 years, can you imagine what more do you want to do or some dream projects you want to work on?
Oh, it's so tough because my I've been talking to my friends and they said, if you reach all your goals now, you're gonna have severe burnout and a midlife crisis very soon. And I'm like,
Maybe not. Maybe you are just like happy where you are, and you just want to
maybe.
continue with that.
Yeah, I know last time we talked, you asked me what I wanted to do in 5 years, I think, and I
And
said
it was already
just what
only
I'm
a year, right?
yeah, I said what I'm doing now, but with more money, and that's happening now, which is very nice and very stress relieving if you don't have to worry about that. Um, yeah, a big thing I want to do is make an art book. So I still haven't done it, but I want to approach a publisher to ask if they want to collaborate with me on that because I I admire the people who do their own art books through Kickstarter and do everything, the layout and the shipping and all this stuff. I'm familiar with that, and I don't see myself having like pallets of books in my apartment and shipping them out or like doing the layout or everything.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hand that off to a professional, so I hope I can get a deal with a publisher so that I can provide the artwork and the writing for the thing and they make it look all nice and they get it out to people. That would be my perfect scenario. So that's a goal for the end of this year and maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe you can
So
do it with 3D Total or someone
yeah,
like that because they
that would
work with a lot of artists in our industry, right? So,
yeah,
yeah,
that would
yeah.
be my ideal scenario. Yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool. So if they're listening, like they should
I
call
will
you.
also write them an email very soon. I'm just, yeah.
Good,
But it's
good.
good to put it out there already. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's always a good idea. Yeah, because you have already a lot of super cool content. You have the audience. They want more of your art. So it just to put it together in some form that they can get more, from you. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
hope so. I hope I can offer them something good in return.
yeah.
I was thinking of waiting until I have more Instagram followers to contact them, but I'm like, no, I'll just do it sooner. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like when you can structure your time now already to do that, like why not? So sounds
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
And I'm free. It's so good. I can do whatever I want. I was also invited by Adobe to do live streams with them
Cool.
last month. Or was it this month?
Yeah, I
I
think
don't.
I saw it on your social
Yeah.
media, so I was like, yay!
That was very nice. Yeah, so it was pretty spontaneous. Some people canceled, and so they were like, "Hey, do you want to join us for these live streams in like 3 weeks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I don't have anything else to do. It's fine."
I don't have anything else like 20 million projects, but yeah. But it's about the priorities when you want to work on something, then you can always, yeah, make time.
I
So
can
yeah.
shift things around. Yes,
Yes,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's so great. I love it.
So
I'm
cool.
really happy with everything. Honestly, this is better than anything I could have hoped for.
But it's so cool. Like then if yes, someone, they want to have like life like you do, so like work on your own artworks and make living from basically support from the community and basically everyone who appreciates your art, then it's definitely possible. So that's
Yeah.
so awesome. So I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let's do like a check-in maybe in a year and let's see how many art books you have.
Oh my God. Maximum one. Maybe. I don't even
Well,
know how
let's
long that
see.
takes,
You will
but
be
I'm
like,
ready
now
for
I
it.
have 10 courses online and I have 10 art books. So, yeah, but it's super cool. So, I'm curious to see where you will go soon.
Oh, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And I will
So,
also be teaching a workshop next year in Spain,
cool. Yeah.
in
Galeria
Sevilla.
Roja, maybe. Yeah.
Yes,
They
yes.
do a lot of artists now. I'm always
Yeah.
checking. So, they have really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy when they contacted me and they sent me the list of people they have hosted. I was like, I'm a baby compared to these guys. It's like I'm still trying to find my place in the whole community. I feel very strong imposter syndrome when I get these big opportunities, and I hope I can get over that. It's just like my first reaction is to be really, really happy and like woo, and then I'm like, oh, do I deserve to
Of
be
course you
among these
do.
people? It's like, ah, yeah, it's
Yes, of
something
course you
to
do.
get used
Yes.
to. Yeah,
So yeah, you should be like, yes, thank you. Yes, I will
sure.
help others to, get there and I will share my knowledge. Thank you that you invited me. Good.
And I am a teacher. I studied teaching, so it's nice to put that to use finally.
Perfect
Yeah.
combination. So that's great. Yeah, I'm super happy and I'm like, yeah, I hopefully this was also inspirational for people listening that it's definitely possible in less than 5 years. And yeah, when you work on something, then you get there like with a clear vision, you enjoy the art and yeah, just to do that. So thank you so much for being here
Thank
and
you.
sharing the story and the update.
And it's really cool for me to see as well how you've grown with your channel and everything. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going, yes.
Yeah.
With the 20
We're
million
doing so
projects,
well.
yeah. And everyone is always wondering, like, yeah, can you live from stuff online? Yeah, yes, you can. So that's possible, and I like the flexibility of, yeah,
Mhm.
the when you work on your own stuff, that, yeah, you can decide on what to work on. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. Yeah, yeah. So awesome. And thank you so much again, because I don't
Thank
want
you.
to hold you too long. And also, thanks everyone who was listening or watching. And see you guys next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.